Okay, good moment, everybody. You're listening to Intuitive You with Deborah Hanlon. And if for those of you who are tuning on through my YouTube channel, you are already able to see who my guest is today. And I kept telling myself I wasn't going to get emotional, but I'm ridiculously honored and excited and terrified to introduce my guest. And I'm kicking off my new web series with this episode with the none other James von Praagh, who needs no introduction. All of you know who he is. And if you don't, you have to be like 12 years old. He's written countless books. He is the medium. And for those of you who do know me, know that I'm not a medium chaser, medium follower. I am very selective with those who I sort of subscribe myself to, my beliefs. And James is, if not one of the ones, he is the one. So James, thank you and welcome to my show today.
Kind words. I appreciate it. Thank
you. You are a mentor, a teacher, just an extraordinary human being. And I want to start off, and we spoke very briefly before we went on, and I'm not an interviewer. I'm not even like a very social person because I always get like very nervous, you know.
Nor me.
So, I can do big events, but social,
yeah.
You do, really. So I wouldn't think that.
I'm very shy, believe it or not. And people wouldn't know that, but because I'm out there before the public and I'm out doing demonstration shows, workshops, so forth, signing books, I have to do that. I mean, I love to, as you know, to open people up and to enlighten them and teach them and just change their point of views perhaps. But personally, I'm a Virgo, 0 degree Virgo, and I'm a Leo Virgo. I'm on the cusp. And actually, Virgo can be very bashful and shy, and that's more me. And we talked about this before the show. We're not real social people, and maybe that's also age. But I find that I have less tolerance as I get older, less patience with people that just move. And we're human. You have to have a human condition. But no, I think I've done the work. I mean, I've been out there before the public and all that. But I'm really comfortable by myself. I'm nowadays. I have the gardens where I live. I create these gardens. I'm a landscape architect now. That's because I design all these gardens. Spiritual gardens, meditation gardens, succulent gardens, flower gardens, raised beds, pathways. I do all that. Wow. And I love that. I love being with nature, it feeds my soul. And I love to teach as well. So I'm still teaching through my online school. But yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying, Deborah. We're very similar in that respect. I think many sensitives and many empaths are shy. I think they're very much that way because they're constantly being bombarded by energy outside them. And they're receiving it. And there's a lot of people I teach don't know how to handle that. A lot of people are empathic and overly sensitized, whatever that means, overly, but needing to know how to deal with the energy being thrown at them and how to deal with that. And I often say to people that thoughts are everywhere. Thoughts are things. Thoughts actually are real on another level and dimension. They are very solid, very colorful. They have structure. Their thoughts are things. And we as sensitives walk in a sea of thought. As we walk around the world, the earth, we're not only getting hit by microwaves, gamma rays, bombarded, if you will, we're also getting bombarded with other people's thought forms and thoughts that are meant for somebody else and walk into that trail like, wait a minute. And it's really important that one realizes that they have to be mindful and responsible for the thoughts that are around the space, their aura, the auric field, or the space around them, that if they're very sympathetic and empathetic, they might carry other people's energy on them and not realize it. Until one day when they're depressed or they can't sleep or they have an illness or they have a headache or they don't feel like themselves, many often it could be someone else's energy in their auric field, impinging upon their field. So one of the things I teach people in my work, my school, is how to every morning get up and I get up, take a shower, cleanse the physical body, and then cleanse the spiritual body. Just becoming aware of the space around me, within me, and I bring through lovely, beautiful golden light surrounding every cell, every muscle, every fiber of my being. So I'm going on the inside and on the outside. And any energies that are heavier or that are not mine, I imagine that they come out of my fingertips, my toes, like Hershey syrup is the only way I could describe it. That denser energy that's not mine. And then I do want to step out of the shower and dry off. And as I'm drying off and say, may God go before me and show me the way. So I'm actually programming my day. May God go before me and show me the way. The word God and the word love are the fastest vibrational frequency words we have. So that's, you're setting up that space. You're setting up that, you're programming your space and really programming your day. Because if you're going to have that, may God go before me and show me the way, the word God, that high vibration, you're bringing it to yourself. People who are not of that high vibration won't be able to be there or are not attracted to you, because in the law of attraction, like attracts like. So you'll only attract those that love you on that level. And the more you do, the stronger it gets. So that's one way I'm throwing that in there. I didn't know you were going to ask me, but my mouth took off.
I love it. Keep going. Keep going. And my brain is turning like, oh my gosh, Hershey syrup. Got it. Oh my gosh. But how do you, I'm visual. How do you know? Because I do think I struggle with this. How do you know what is yours and what isn't yours? Because
really great question.
Yeah.
Really great. Yeah, but the best way to know what's your energy, what's not your energy, is to know yourself. So how do you do that? Well, many different ways. One, of course, meditation, which the more often you do meditation, and I just say it's simple meditation. I'm going to just tell your people and yourself, a simple meditation is just, closing your eyes and connecting with your breath, and be aware of the inhalation all the way down to your toes, a fresh new energy, and then an exhalation. I say come into the count of 4 and out of your mouth, count of 4. And doing that several different times, just sitting. And then I tell people, sit in the quiet. Sit in the quiet, sit in the stillness of your being. I tell people, sit in a closet or sit in a room where they can't be disturbed. So no phones, no outside distractions, disturbances, no animals, no people. They can give themselves 5 to 10 minutes a day. It's not asking a lot.
No.
And when you start sitting in that quiet, your soul begins to express itself in a way where you feel your inner self coming out. And I mean, the more you do it, the stronger you have the awareness of the inner self coming out, and you feel your energy space, and you know it's your soul. You know the energy of your soul. You become very, very aware of that. So then during the day when you're walking around and something like thinking of something or something hits you, you're like, that's not my stuff. That's somebody else's stuff. That's certainly not mine. So that's one way to do it. There are other techniques, but that's the quickest way.
Well, I love that because, like I said, I do struggle with that. Although, I'm like, okay, I'm there. I'm in the closet and, I'm surrounded by my clothes. I could do that. I could totally do it. I'd prefer to do it. But then what about those moments like prior where, I shared with you that I like lose my, what, when like technology doesn't work, when something doesn't go my way, like, so what do you do in those moments? Because I do feel that I'm pretty, self-aware. And then once you say that I always feel like that negates the self-awareness. Once you say you're so self-aware, then I feel like it's like, well, but there's always that blind spot. But
that's why I start communicating with other spirits, like martinis. It's, as we're starting technology nowadays, the energies, everything's speeding up. Everything is speeding up now. I know there's got to be proof of this somewhere in some quantum physics world, or there's got to be a sense of it. Everybody's feeling it. We were sharing also that both of us do not like technology. I know it could be great for humankind if handled the right way, which I'm fearful it's not going to be. That's my big fear. Because already we see hacking. We already see people, our government with the whole thing with the politics with the election and all that. It's just, it could be used to, I have a broadcasting, believe it or not, I have a broadcasting degree from San Francisco State.
Wow.
And, isn't that wild?
That is.
My broadcasting degree.
Different kind of broadcast, right? Much bigger antenna you have.
But I remember the basics of that course, which and now it seems like it's a world ago. Marshall McLuhan was a great writer, and he was talking about the world as a global community one day. Remember, this is before emails, before any of that technology. I think it was still dial phones. And he said the way the technology is running is that one day we'll become a global community, which obviously we have been. But he said along with that comes a great responsibility, which is true. And we must be responsible for what we put out there to the world, because the world will change accordingly. And because you're a global community, you can't get that sense of self. You've got to be part of everybody and have that in your mindset that you're part of everyone and what you're doing affects everyone. And I wish people could change that mindset to be aware that we're affecting every single person with the words we send out on social media, with the thoughts that we have, with things we say. And unfortunately, we I'm not like the political, but unfortunately we have a president who doesn't have any sense of anything, awareness. He's putting on Twitter. I don't think the man has an awareness of those energy of the words to degrade people, to think they're wrong. And, it's just not the way it is. And that's, you're creating a negative fear base. And we got to be careful with that. And I don't like technology in that respect. And I'm also not made that way. And you're probably not either. A lot of empaths, a lot of intuitive people have a real hard time with technology. I mean, we were joking about it, but it is true.
Yeah.
To get set up a light and put a Facebook Live on takes me a good hour. And part of it is I don't want to do it. Part of it is I just don't want to be enslaved to do it.
Yes.
But and the good side of it that you're using it for, that I'm using it for, that the people in the right mind are using it to heal people, to open people up in their minds, to let people know who they are in their heart, to get back to who they are. I think in those ways it's a positive thing. It's just that we have to trudge through the stuff, the heaviness to get there. So what I do, Deborah, I'm fortunate enough right now to have people that do it for me in that I can't do a website. So I have people that that's their expertise. They love a website. They love doing social media. I do as much as I can with it. But then there are these experts who can do it better than I could. So why not? If I'm able to have the income to do that, then I'll do that because that gets the word out there in a good way, in the right way, not a messed up way as I probably do.
Right. Or just I'm aware of like the tension I carry with it, where I'm like, my gosh, Deb, like I'm trying to put, like you said, like put something out there good and help people. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, I'm like cursing and like, I can't do this, so that I laugh. Like, really, Deb? Like, where's your intention? Which is it? So it is a balance.
You can do, Deborah. What you can do, just suggesting, what you can do here, it's because you're like me, breathe. You have to breathe. We're learning something, and you might want to get someone to help you as a volunteer. Maybe they can come in. Maybe you can get a techie to come in once a week and volunteer with you and help you. That has a mindset to do this work. Maybe that might be a consideration.
Yes.
There are young kids out there that would love to do that.
Or martinis.
I go the martini route, but yeah, no. But that's something because when I film for my school every day pretty much. And I have people that know this is their specialty. I have a camera crew and a man, the camera, and a sound guy. They know this stuff. I tried doing a film on my own. I tried doing the camera, and it came out horribly. I'm unfocused half the time I'm speaking. It's like, you want something, But listen, The bottom line is you're doing it. You're out there and you're doing it. You have a podcast. You're out there trying to change the world, which is fantastic. So when we get those little headaches, those hiccups of technology, think of the bigger picture. You're released. Just breathe and think of the bigger picture. Your intention is right. You're trying to help other people and get the word out there and bring healing to many people. And those people that need that, who are attracted to you, will get to you.
Right.
Somehow.
I feel like this is like a session with Deborah. Thank you. Which I gladly accept. So what is it? I often think I asked my Facebook page, if you could ask James Van Praagh any question, what would it be? And of course, I got a ton of questions. And in that, and I'll share my two favorite in a moment, but I noticed, and I didn't specify, in fairness to those who I was asking that, I didn't specify, not personal questions, but just generalized questions for the sake of this interview.
How's my son? How's my grandmother? How's my aunt? We got tons of those, yeah.
A trillion of those. And as a medium, I am sensitive to the constant pull, never enough, always wanting more from you. And I'm not so interested in the mediumship part of yourself because I'm interested in the human that you are that creates and possesses the mediumship. That's what thrills me.
Thank God. Okay.
Exactly. Like I just, and seeing everyone's questions, it made me laugh because I know myself, I get sometimes very like, oh my gosh, like, you want to help the world and you want to answer the world and you want people to feel that connection and know that connection, but also you're human and, there's a balance. So how do you balance that?
Well, first of all, let me just back up if you don't mind to go back that. And that's something you said really important in that you're human. So you're a soul having a human experience. Mm-hmm. And people that look at you as a medium, you and me and other mediums, they look at us as sometimes some supernatural weirdo, someone like Superman or Superwoman or whatever. And it's not. We're humans. And we're humans are just maybe a little more sensitive than most people. And I think sometimes we've got to remind people that we are human, that we're having a human condition. And that, I think in this work, Deborah, you might have experienced it yourself. I have every time boundary work. because people will walk all over you. And not that they intend to do that, but they do. And the reason, and I can just tell you this, just this past week when I was flying back from New York, I was the flight attendant, knew who I was, a big fan, and said, thank you very much, that's very sweet. And the other flight attendant was, and then in the middle of the flight, the captain of the plane came back to me and said that she was a big fan, and would I want to go to Ruth Chris Steakhouse afterwards for dinner? And I'm like, that sounds a bit bizarre, but
not really, not in particular.
I go home. But it's not like a rock star or a celebrity. It's someone who, there's some people who feel like they're desperate, and you're the last person to be able to do that. So I think when you work with a medium, there is a fine balance. And you always got to keep a fine balance. Everything has to be in moderation. Everything in life needs to be in moderation. Whether the mediumship work or any kind of work in life that people do, there's got to be moderation. There's got to be time to work and time to play, and time to be serious and time to laugh. And I find with my work, and you know me, so I'm always joyful, or at least try to, and I always enter everything trying to be that little kid, that wondrous discovery with that little kid. And I do have a good sense of humor. I think I was born with that, and I use that a lot. I use that a lot in my work because people tend to take things so seriously, and it really isn't that serious in a way because life continues on. There is no end. And when you realize that your loved ones are more with you now than before, that's a great thing. I think part of our work, or maybe I can just speak for myself, part of it was helping people realize there is no death, helping people realize the conscious survives, that there is no death. I'm a survival evidence medium, meaning that evidential details that they would not know. They would know this if only you know this, they know this. I would never know it. Things that you can't, that just are crazy. Like the time I brought through a lady's mother, and the mother said, "You're wearing my underwear." Now, who the heck would know that? Sure.
Right.
So I've done that. I've done that part of the survival for 40 years. I think now it's changing, evolving to opening people up to the awareness that there is no death, but then them themselves then taking the responsibility that they are indeed a soul having this human experience, and what are they going to do with that? Step out of the grief victim consciousness. Yep, everybody has got to go through grief. It's a natural process. But we got to be very careful not to hold on to that too much, because loved ones in spirit often will say, please don't think of me as dead. I'm not. And, you want to get out of that mindset. So my work now is all about changing people's mindsets, opening them up and helping them to move on with their lives and become more aware.
And that expands beyond mediumship, which I think something people might not even know. And I often find, so much of your work, my work, the work is like, I always feel like mediumship is the tip of the iceberg. And like, oh my gosh, if people just understood everything else that's just as cool and as amazing as that evidence is, which is outrageous and we all love it. And you can't deny that it's just unbelievable. But that's nothing.
That's the phenomena. So the phenomena is that. The phenomena that we can communicate with those who passed over. But that's the phenomena. Now let's go back to the fact, what do we learn from that phenomena?
Yes.
Is number one, there is no death. So if there is no death, once we pass over, we have a life review. Every single person has told me this in the spirit world. We know this in near-death experiences. So there's a life review where you see your life in total review from beginning, middle, and end, and you see it from another person's point of view. So let's say you were in a bad mood, you ran into a store, and yelled at the shopkeeper, got them upset, and they yelled at a coworker who got upset, and went home and yelled at a family member, got upset. When you have your life review, you become that shopkeeper. You feel how they felt when you threw that energy on them, and then the coworker, and then you'll feel all of that energy. And in this physical world, it's hard to forgive ourselves for something we did that we weren't thinking. Oh, gee, why did I say that? Why did I do that? Imagine when you're in a vibration, when you're in the spirit world, which is the mental world, which is made up of all your thoughts. That could be your heaven or hell, depending on the thoughts that you created in your life. If you were bad, went out of your way, get over on someone, or nasty to somebody, you got to forgive yourself. That might be hard, So, and heaven really is that sense of you've created your heaven based upon your thoughts, words, and deeds. The wonderful kindnesses that you created while you were here on the earth. How you changed the world in a better way. You changed someone's life in a better way, just saying hello or saying something positive about them. Changing the positive, bringing some positivity to that person. That could be heaven too, because you'll see that at the end of your life. So if everybody lived a life of mindfulness, in a sense where you're mindful and responsible for the thoughts that you're sending out, boy, wouldn't it be a better world if everybody had that awareness that their thoughts are real and it'll create their lives, because karma, what goes out comes back, and that when you pass over, you'll see all the good or the bad you did. Don't you think if people got that concept, they would be living a little bit differently? Their choices might be different. The sense of mindfulness.
And it's also it's in a very empowering consciousness too. It's not fear-based. It's you are in control of whichever way you go, and which is so cool.
Yeah, you are what you think. You create those choices and you live by those choices. If you want a nice time, be nice. If you want to have a party at your house, you have nice things, you have food, you drink, and music. Do that now. Create a nicer world. Create a nicer world here, a nicer world there. Even these hard, difficult times for a lot of people, if someone comes and say, "Oh, it's terrible," try to turn it around. What's the positive to that? Let them try to see the positive aspects of that. Donald Trump's destroying the world. I hear from some people. And I said, well, there's something we've got to learn from this. So let's see the positive. What are we learning about this, about ourselves as a country, about ourselves as individuals? What can we learn in a positive way about this? If you think it's negative, let's make the positive.
Yes, which I feel like it's such a gift. Sometimes the negativity is such a gift because if we're trained and taught and reminded over and over, if we say, okay, what part of that negativity is mine? What am I contributing to it? That
Correct.
brings that mindfulness. And people, I recently just posted this very thing that if we really understood that that mean voice we all have, that inner voice that's just mean to ourselves for whatever reasons, oh, you're fat or you're lazy or whatever it is. If we understood that voice as the voice of negativity in the world, would we allow it to directed at ourselves so much? And a lot of people said, no, but I'm not doing what Trump does. And I'm like, but you're doing it to yourself. So start there.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. And you are saying that is what you're saying.
To those people who are afraid of the world, who want to change the world, we got to change the world. And say yes, but you can change the world first by changing yourself. So you first got to change the microcosm before you change the macrocosm. And if enough people change their microcosm and are mindful about their thoughts and have actions of positivity and love and compassion and understanding, which won't always be easy, by the way, because we're in a human condition and you have souls of all different levels here, some in fear-based souls, some in loving souls, and then you have those ones in between, not sure. So, but we have to respond for our thoughts and our words, and for us to change the world, we've got to change our own way of thinking, no doubt about it.
I love that. I think that's, I imagine, that's what the world needs to hear. And then that's very doable because I can't solve hunger. No. I can't solve these things, but I can solve within me first.
And it's important, Deborah, I find, well, this is of course my opinion here, but you said that negative voices that we all have is true. I find that I look at myself when those negative things come, I try laughing at them. It's like, oh, you're so funny. You're so ridiculous. Like, really? And I just have a joke with it. I just have fun with it. Because, I don't take it all so seriously because I know this is an illusion. I know that time passes very quickly, if there's such a thing. And that life is made up of those moments. Every day is a bunch of moments. And I always say life is a series. You've heard me say this. Life is a series of choices. And all choices are based upon love or fear. And that's all it is. And we as a soul have this human condition. We're love. That's our vibration. Our energy is love. Fear is taught to us. We don't come here with fear. Fear is taught to us. So fear, F-E-A-R, false ego appearing real, which is true. False ego appearing real. So we give the power over to the ego self, that human self, instead of our God self, our love self. Because we are love. That's who we are. I often say, people say, what do you think of God? They say, God comes with that word God, that term. To me, it's archaic. I get what it means. I use the word one, O-N-E, which is O-N-E, omnipresent, nurturing energy. And I use that, put that in one of my books, because that's really close to me. In my experience, it's that omnipresent, nurturing energy within every person, every leaf on every tree, every flower, every animal, every human. We have that light. We have the spark of that energy within us. And it brings us together, believe it or not. We're all connected with that same light. Even though the outside is different, belief systems might be different, may speak a different language, may have a different skin color. We all have that sparkle of God within us, that light within us, that oneness. And I tell people to shine your light, live from the inside out. So when you walk every day, live from the inside out, heart out. And realize, here's another good one, realize that every day upon your path, every day, whether you go to Starbucks, whether you go to a park, whether you go to work, that every single day is different. And every person that comes onto your path that day is either a student or a teacher. So,
mm-hmm. Yep. And that could
so
be
someone to be crazy. Then they're obviously a teacher. What are they teaching you about yourself? Are you going to react emotionally and go down to their level of judgment or whatever? Or are you going to stop and pause and say, where are they coming from? What do they teach me? Not to be angry, to be more patient, maybe be more understanding, more compassion. So what are they teaching you? It's a good way to go through life. It's worked for me. It works for a lot of people that way.
And see, this is what I feel is the gift that mediumship brought you, because it teaches you how to live. It teaches you how to live. It really does, because that's a practical, because we've all had that moment in the store where we're like aggravated by the person or who's checking us out or somebody online. But to really be able to have that awareness to stop and say, like, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go to that level. That's not me. That's not mine. I mean, that's such a practical, everyday, common experience that can either sink you or float you.
Yeah, and it doesn't take much to be kind. It takes less energy to be kind. It takes less energy to be compassionate. It takes less energy to say love instead of hate. It takes so much more for fear, and that upsets the body too, So anything with thought affects the body directly. So thought is the first place anything creates, is the etheric, which is thought. And it's the last place that ends up is the physical self. So the thoughts of illness or disease, if we go through the body, one exercise I have with my students, and I think you were there once at a workshop, where we do scanning. We scan the body, the energy flowing through the body. And a lot of people will come up to someone's area, a certain area of the body, and feel stuck. And we look into that and say, well, something must have happened. You were a child, maybe a child, or there was maybe the relationship, or you lost them. Sure enough, or there's something you're holding on to that you haven't forgiven a person in your life. Yes. Well, you have to realize that if you hold on to that, it's that energy, and you're not going to move the energy, because energy is about movement. If you're going to let that sit there, it's going to corrode in the body. It's going to create some kind of stagnation in the body, and you're opening up for dis-ease in the body and any other thing that comes along. So we got to realize the power of our thoughts, and energetically we should flow through. And the forgiveness, really quickly, forgiveness is a medicine we give ourselves. It's really a tonic, because we're letting the energy flow, and we got to take that situation and about if we can't forgive somebody, why can't we forgive them? What is it why you can't forgive? It doesn't mean you condone their act. You don't have to condone their act, but you can forgive them, because that's the right thing to do. Really important. Forgiveness is really, really important. As you said, mediumship, this is a gift that we learn different things through mediumship. One of the ones I've learned the most too is forgiveness, because when spirits come back, many, many times talk about, forgive me, please forgive me. I didn't know what I was saying. I didn't realize things. I didn't know things. And then I wrote a book called Unfinished Business years ago, called Unfinished Business. And the reason I wrote that was because I got so tired of hearing these spirits come through and say, if only I knew then what I know now, I would make better choices.
Powerful. So powerful. Yeah. And explain why, because forgiveness, I know, is a tricky thing until it isn't, until you're fully embraced, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I get it. But explain, because I know in the past for myself, forgiveness was so about, well, I'm right, so why should I forgive? And explain the difference between that being that ego versus.
Sure.
Yeah.
So anytime there's a sense of not being able to forgive someone, and in my school I have a whole thing on class on forgiveness. Ooh. Forgive the unforgiven, it's called. It's really, really good. And it's just, again, it's a mindset. So remember, everything is a mindset, because the soul is the mind is the soul. So what are you going to put in that space, the mind? So the reason why sometimes it's hard to forgive is because, number one, we're so connected to that situation, that scene, that person on an emotional level. It might be that we have unrealistic expectations. Maybe we did something, we expected them to come back a certain way and do what we did for them, but we don't get it. So it's unrealistic expectations. And so we try to, how can you do that to me? And we don't forgive them. But then you might step back and realize that, wow, they might not have the awareness that would be the right thing to do. Maybe they're limited in their awareness, that they don't know that's the right thing to do. There are a lot of different situations. I mean, this comes up quite frequently in my readings about, let's say a father comes through, or a mother, someone comes through and might say to their child, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I didn't show you the love that you needed. and please forgive me for not giving you that love. I didn't realize how much love you needed, and I didn't realize how to love. I was never taught love by my parent, so I really didn't know what it was about. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, once we had that awareness, oh, now they didn't know what it was about. So we have to take the higher road, and that person might not have an understanding. So I had someone in my life who hurt me very badly in different ways, and some have even affected my work as a medium. Mm. And that person like kind of took advantage of that, and was like, all this stuff. Like, you can't do that. And I had to take that person to court, and this legal thing, horrible stuff, right? Mm. But you've got to do the right thing. You've got to have integrity. And if this person was doing something without integrity with my name, that's not right. Mm-hmm. And I to make a long story short, I forgave the person, but I didn't condone that act. And I realized that person doesn't have the awareness that that's not the right thing to do. You can't behave that way. That's not appropriate. You've got to be nice. Mm-hmm. Try to be nice. Maya Angelou, I love Maya Angelou, and I played her last week at a workshop I was doing, and she said something which I loved, and I just try to remember everything I hear. So I have to put it on YouTube. I can hear it in my head. And she said, when you go through life, she goes, to have people say, I really like her. Gosh, she's so nice. She's just so wonderful. Try to live your life where people remember you that way and talk about you that way. God, they're so nice. They're so sweet. That's what you want. You want to live with that. You don't want to live with someone saying, oh, they're the dreadful thing. They're horrible. They're horrific to be around. You want to be nice. Oh, they're such a nice person. I love being with them. That's what we want to strive for.
Mm-hmm. And that, like you said, that is easier than
It is easier because that's who we are. We're love. Souls are made of the energy of love. That's our natural thing. And don't we feel great when we give someone love? Oh. We say something kind to someone. Wow, does it feel good?
Yep, for everybody involved.
For everybody. Yeah. I use a lot. I tell my students a lot when I'm every day examples, and one of the best ones is a credit card. So credit card company, you're going to call the company because maybe your credit card isn't right. So you call them up and maybe you get somebody who's, hello, how are you today? Hi, how are you? Are you in India? No, I'm in Philadelphia. And obviously the person's in India. Philadelphia. And then I get into it. So what's it like where you are? Oh, well, it's nice. It's Philadelphia. I said, no, where do you really live? Then I get, I live in Delhi or whatever. I said, oh, wow, I've never been there. What's it like? Well, then you get a little more personal, like where you work with a lot of people, and just it really just gives them a sense of acknowledgement, because we all want acknowledgement. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're no different than we are. People on the phone, they have a hard job too. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, it changes the energy of that person. They might be sitting in a phone bank all day. Imagine what they have to deal with. Imagine negative people calling up because the customers are angry. Mm-hmm. So they're throwing that stuff at them. And so if you can call up and be positive to them, give them some love, it changes that, it shifts that energy. They'll go to a coworker probably and say, I just had a phone call from some guy in the States, and wow, he made me feel good. And but you never know. It's that rippling effect, if you will. And I think that's our job down here. I think we got to make the world a better place than it was when we found it.
I love that. And I love that example because, again, non-awareness will take you to, oh my gosh, I have to make this call. I've been waiting on hold for so long, and blah, blah, blah. And we can get all amped up, or we can be amped up and recognize that I'm talking to another human being who is trying to help. It's that human to human connection.
You know what I do, though, Deborah? I just did this recently. It's always a test. You have fun. Make a test of it. Make a good time of it. Make it an exercise. So what I've done recently is, like, let's say I was in a store and there was a counter there, and I was waiting for the salesperson to, whatever, help me or cash me out or whatever it was. And they're obviously they're thinking of something else. They have a frown on their face, and when they're just doing their thing, and I just wait, and I smile, I just wait. I don't say anything, I just wait, and I'll wait for them to finish what they have to do, and then when they come to me, they might have this response, yeah, but they don't see you, yeah, and just automatic like that thing they do, and I say, hi, how are you today? I'm fine. I love your eyes. I said this last week to someone. I said, you have a beautiful smile. And they said, huh? I said, it looks better when you use it more, though. And that reminded her. She said, you're right. I said, keep it light. Keep it bright because people need it.
Mm-hmm. It shifts the energy for everybody.
It's a thing for everybody. Just to do that little thing, 2 seconds.
So great. And that's, again, I like the practical. I think everyone thinks that they have to, go meditate for 4 hours a day or, go on these massive retreats. And I'm like, no, we have to just kind of chill, as human beings.
Yeah. There is one retreat which they should go on.
Yours.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, I talk about it all the time. I've attended your week long.
Let me gotta grab something.
You got it. I'm going to take a drink. Not a real drink, just a water drink.
So I'm putting together this retreat because I do once a year, because people like the physicality of being with me and meeting each other when it comes to our community. And I decided, Esther Hicks mentioned that she brings through Abraham, and he's very big, as you know. And she goes to this place in Cancun, and it's a retreat in Cancun, and it's away from the people in Cancun. It's kind of its own little destination. And I'm going to do a Soul Power retreat March 1st through 6th there. And this is what I'm going to show you here. So that's it. Yeah.
Soul Power Cancun retreat March 1st to 6th, 2019. Where can people, where's the link?
My website, vanpraagh.com.
Okay, and that's on the screen. I don't think you can see that, but your website is listed on the screen here, so they will see that.
Yeah. Find out more about. That's a great retreat. That's a retreat which I swear to you 2 days ago, I met with Eileen and Jan. Eileen and Jan were on my very, very first cruise I did 25 years ago.
Wow.
And we become friends, and we have several people who become lifetime friends through these retreats or cruises, or in this case, with this retreat, but lifetime friends also because you have the same mindset. So that's the big thing I'm doing next is that I'm really looking forward to the next retreat. It's called the Soul Power Retreat. So I'm going to go delve into the soul, the different levels of the soul, the different experiences of the soul self. I'm going to have them go through 1 day of living from a soul point of view, not the human point of view.
Ooh.
Isn't that cool?
That's cool.
See what happens.
That's outrageous.
I know, right?
That really is. And I know, I mean, I've taken your retreats at the Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York, and I talk about all the time, if you want to go a whole other level, a true whole other level to really spend time and immerse yourself in the workshops, in the classes, with the people, really working on it, having time away from the rest of your life and just to be able to focus on it. It's life-changing. I mean, I shared with you my meditation story before we came on that occurred at your retreat at Omega. So highly recommend your retreats. And though, for those who can't make it to Cancun this year, you have a new school. So tell us about that. I'm going to put the website up.
Yeah, it's 2.5 years. I have 30 different courses, and the course is the JVP School of Mystical Arts, and it's its own website. So you get through my website also. You can get the link. JVP School of Mystical Arts. I started that 2 3 years ago, but planning it probably 7 years ago. Wow. And it was funny because I didn't have the people in place who would help me with it, and I didn't know anybody. But Spirit led me to certain people who used to work at my publisher and is doing social media, and they do these types of courses. And we've created, honestly, about 30 different courses. And there are courses that are, one is called the 28-Day Transformation Course. So it's about, you do it every day for 15 minutes, changing your mindset. There's a healing certification course. There's what's called Psychic Portals course, delving into the intuition. There's one, which is a great one. It's for the highly sensitive person, how tools for the highly sensitive. There's an array of all different, right now we're working a writer's workshop, which is actually closed right now, but that's a great one to create a book in 4 months, and I help them from the title all the way to selling the book. So there's all these different courses, whether it's a week long, whether it's a day long, whether it's 6 months. I have a mediumship course, which is a 6-month course full of 65 videos and lessons and a homework. And as you know, I'm a pretty good teacher. I love it, passionate about it. So I give all my heart to these courses. And I meet people now from around the world when I do my little demonstrations and tours, and they say, I'm a student of yours. I've taken this course, and oh my God, it's changed me. So yeah, the JVP School of Mystical Arts, that's my life right now, and I love it.
That's amazing. I have that website too, jvpschoolofmysticalarts.com on the YouTube channel. You'll see that. What is your passion? Like, what is your favorite aspect of what you do? Is it teaching?
Teaching. Yeah, teaching. I love teaching. Mm-hmm. I love teaching because I was taught more about, this mediumship when I first started somewhat 38 years ago. I often tell people the hardest part of my work is not talking to dead people. That I can do, but it's seeing the seeing the gifts and the gifts that people have around them, who they truly are, and they don't see it for themselves. Yes. So if I can open them up and have them see themselves for who they truly are, not who they think they are, that makes me sing, my heart sing. So it's that passion of helping people to see themselves for who they are and living a life who they are, not who they think they are, but who they are. And you do that, there's a freedom, there's a liberation, there's a freedom that they come back to themselves. Because so many of us in early life get programmed, we forget about our true selves at the age of 5 or 6 or 7 when we become programmed by the adults. And then around mid-lifetime, there seems to be either a crisis or a traumatic experience that pushes people to a sense of, I'm not happy. I don't feel happy. I don't feel complete. I don't feel whole. And probably the reason is because they haven't lived their life. They lived someone else's life, or they lived a life that they thought people wanted them to live in order to receive love or happiness, as they thought. That's the illusion. And that's fear-based because they're afraid what people think of them. So that's false ego appearing real. And so I teach them, I remind them that what other people think of them is none of their business, that they can only love themselves more than anybody else. And that comes in the teaching, that the self-realization, opening people up, waking people up.
And that's what I mean by the mediumship's the tip of the iceberg, because that stuff, like a mediumship thing in my mind, and we know it's so valuable.
That gets you in, but then the door opens up.
Right. Like that, sometimes that pivotal crisis that you're talking about is experienced through a loss that brings you to someone like yourself. Then the real work begins. Then the exciting, the human work begins, where it's like, okay, they're cool. I always say about them on the other side. I'm like, they've got the good spot. They're cool. How are you doing? How's your humanity doing? And what are you going to do with your humanity?
That's very true what you're saying, Deborah. It's very true. I just recently, last week, I brought through some children that passed, and the parents handled it really well. But what came through was I had to go through this experience. I had to leave when I left so you can get on your spiritual path. You would not have gotten on, Mom, you would have not have gotten your spiritual path if I didn't pass over. Because now you're looking into this. Does, what about life after death? Is there life after death? Where is my child now? What does it mean to me? So it gets them, like you said, it gets them onto their spiritual path. And that's exactly right.
And that's the greatest gift of that person. That is my story. I had a brother who died. My mom was pushed into this path, and I was just a little 3-year-old kid along for the journey, which opened me up to the entire thing. I mean, it was such a gift. So,
it's a gift.
People don't understand that death, we hate it. We don't like it. Nobody's going to say you like it as a human, but it is the biggest thruster into that transformation of self.
I often say that the dead never leave without leaving gifts behind. You have the courage and faith to open that gift up and see what's inside.
I love it. And it's so true. And the more people that can come to you, to your workshops, to your work, that's inevitable. You can't help but transform and open and grow, and that mindset, just expand. It can't help but happen.
Yeah, because as we talked about earlier, I know it's all about space, and I just open up the space for them. Some of the people come in so close or limited, and all I do is I hold that space. I open up the space for them, for the possibilities, for their own potential, to look at their own potentials and to live it now. And people sometimes need permission to be themselves. And in my workshops, I do that with people. I allow them just to be themselves, and I assist them. And, I can't tell you, well, you know this, how many people have just cried their eyes out when they first get the sense of who they really are and how they've covered up who they really are out of fear. And once that happens, that they're back to themselves and they get that sense of self, they don't have to go back to that illusionary self. They now can taste the pureness of themselves.
And how good for you to feel like you witness that. You witness you're part of that creation.
I'm an instrument to do that. That's what I do. I'm a healer, so I'm an instrument to heal them on all these different levels and heal that world, heal this world.
Right, right. And how do you balance that with just being your human self? It still is a balance, because I'm sure you hear it every day. I mean, I'm saying it on behalf of thousands of people and myself, where I say, oh my gosh, you don't understand the change you've helped me with and what you've done for me. And there's a part of you that's like, oh, that's nice, I'm sure. Like, oh, that's nice of me that I helped you. But how do you really embrace that and take that in?
Dirty martinis.
Mine's red wine, but whatever. Tomato.
Yeah, after I used to drink red wine, but then calories started.
I know.
And after I do a demonstration, I have a yearning for red meat. So I have to have red meat, which brings me down because all the B vitamins are being used. And I joke about the martini, but that really helps me. But I don't drink that a lot.
I know.
But, you know, sometimes if things are really crazy and I've been working, I'll make sure I go to a place and just relax and enjoy that. And I make it a moment. It's interesting. It is a lifestyle in that when you do this type of work, you don't just do it when you do it. You don't, there it is, I'm doing my work. You live it. You have to live the lifestyle of that. You live it every moment. Mm-hmm. So I'm very much a person who's, I try, I'm trying as a human, the spirit, soul having a human condition. I'm trying to deal with the human stuff. It hurts me too. I get upset. I get emotionally upset about certain things that are not met, but I always try, Deborah, to see the bigger picture. Mm-hmm. So, what I do is I step back and I have what I call the pause button. And everybody can do this. And the pause button is I stop. Especially if someone screams something at me, I stop. Because those are the things, emotional things can get us, push-up buttons. And I just stop with the pause button and I say, what is this person teaching me? Where are they coming from? Obviously, they have a history, they have a background, something happened to them, and they're trying to vomit it onto me, which is not my stuff. It's not our stuff, it's their stuff. So that's where I talk about boundary work, where I just say, you know what, that's not my stuff, that's yours. So what are you trying to get out? And maybe I'm just that conduit. My light is opening up that darkness, whatever it might be. So I kind of live a lifestyle of, I honestly wake up every morning with a sense of gratitude, no doubt about it. I have this mindset of gratitude. Thank you, universe, for another day. I wonder what today's going to be like. And I try to make the most, here we go again, I make the most of the moments because it's made up of the moments. And I try to do the best with the moments, and I try to stay centered in who I am. And I might be with people who throw me off or you do something, but I have to go back to my heart. So I take, a couple of deep breaths and back to my heart, and I'm seeing it from that perspective. So it's practice. It doesn't happen easy. It's not easy, but I've been doing this like 38 years. I practice every day. I also, by the way, for people talk about meditation, I meditate every day in that. I meditate by watering the garden, by seeing the flowers, by walking the paths, and sit in the grass, looking at the sunset. I'm fortunate to live in a space where I have some land, so I'm able to walk around the land. I don't leave the property. And I leave the property. And I like trees, and I talk to the trees. I love to write, of course. I do that, and that's what I do. When I go out to do teaching, I really go out to do teaching. I get out there. It's a big thing, as we talked about earlier. It's a big thing to go out into the public and do the thing. But I every day, every moment, I try to live the best I can with that awareness of mindfulness that I'm trying to do the best I can. And that's what I do. That's how I live my life. And when I have to do the mediumship, I've learned so much in development that, when you're in proper mediumship, you are able to shift the mind or press that button when you're working. And when you're not, you turn that off. Mm-hmm. And that's really, really been important because a lot of people don't understand mediumship, that they think, oh, can you see dead people all the time? Not necessarily. And I wouldn't want to.
Exactly.
I mean, come on. So it's unfortunate there's some TV shows out there that show like Teresa Caputo, who's a nice lady, but Long Island Medium, it's just the producers, it's unfortunate that they put that out there in a sense of not doing it the right way of mediumship. Because mediumship to me is a very sacred space. It's a sacred work. And to show it like that, it's just, oh, I can go to the butcher and there's a dead person standing there. They don't tell you that. She already walked into that butcher before the cameras rolled, and she tuned in, she opened up, and then brought through the man. They stopped and put the sound, the audio on, and then they proceed. They don't tell that to the viewer. Yeah. So the viewer thinks that she just goes in and there it is. So that stuff to me it's hard because that's not the right way to demonstrate mediumship and to teach people. And television, as I told you earlier, Marshall McLuhan, it's a great teacher of television. It's a great way to inform the minds of people. It can either build up or destroy. And we're all about, as you know, as a medium, to enhance, enlighten, to build up and not destroy.
Yeah, I'm so glad you spoke to that. I really am because of the perception. And like you said, it is such sacred work because you're dealing with humans and souls. And there's no room for error. And what I mean by error, as you know, is there's no room for games. There's no room for falsity in there because I think it's truly the truest, most authentic work a human can do because there's nothing but truth in it.
You're preaching to the choir, and I haven't heard that, and I'm so happy to hear that.
And I'm happy to hear you. And I have not met Teresa Caputo, I don't know anything about her really, but it's these shows. People told me all the time about paranormal shows. People have asked me to come on paranormal shows and, say that the spirits are on rest. And I'm like, but they're not. So I'm not going to say that. They're fine.
But last night I was talking to Dr. Brian Weiss, who does past life regression, Many Lives, Many Masters, for a long, long time. And Brian and I worked for many, many years together. And we hadn't seen each other in a while. We caught up last night. It was great. Oh. And he said something. He was in China, and he was talking to a Taoist. And he was the head Taoist, who would be, I guess you could say, like the Pope in the Catholic Church. This would be the person in charge of the Taoism in China at that level. And Brian had a talk with him, and Brian asked him, what about possession and evil spirits? What is your belief on that? And the man laughed. He laughed. And his response was, which is very similar to my understanding, he said, no, we have a life force. We have an energy. We have a force so strong of love that's all we are. We're not anything else. We're love. So you can't there's no such thing as evil. And I believe that too. I don't believe there's evil. I think the human mind creates a lot of limited views. I think fear is that. I think I could not think of a spirit, restless spirit, hanging out down here on the earth when they could be home in a wonderful world. That's where they belong. And they're still stuck down here. Why? What does that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But it makes for great TV shows.
Right.
TV shows, very dramatic. It's like, come on, let's just give the intelligence of the spirit world is way beyond human. So let's give a little bit more thought about the intelligence of the spirit world, not leaving people left behind or craziness in a room. I think that the humans sometimes, I might be totally wrong too, but this is my belief. I think sometimes the humans create things that we can create a phenomena. We can create we have phonetic energy. Maybe we can create certain conditions in a house or a place to be haunted. And I think if you build that energy of haunted, you're building that that energy. You're creating that based on your thoughts. And I do believe there are some spaces where there might be some souls who have had an emotional upheaval. And maybe when they pass over, there's a part of them maybe that's stuck in that emotional upheaval. I don't think they're ever stuck here for eternity. I don't get that. I think that place has to have a memory like Gettysburg. There's an emotional memory with that place, no doubt about it. So when you go there and you're sensitive, you might pick up on the memory, that emotional memory of some soldier being killed. But then we got to realize, what is that? Is that just a memory? Because maybe you see that soldier. I think it might be just a memory. They're very clairvoyant or sensitive. But we got to be very, very careful about those things because there's so misinformation out there about it. And people like fear. And people like, when I do this work, exercise, it's actually called surrendering, and the spirit comes through the person. And I have to stop before I begin by telling people there's no such thing as possession. No one can be possessed. No soul can be taken over by another soul. Impossible. Even in the deepest levels of trance, they're aware of what's going on. So I find it very, very hard for that sort of thing. It's like, garbage. That's why I don't, I don't go to that level. That's like 88.6, which is fear, limited consciousness, and angry and that stuff. I listen to 106.7, which is love and helping, compassion, peace. I'd rather put my mind to that.
I love it. I'm so glad you spoke to that because it's one of the things that makes me not want to do what I do because I'm like, they're just selling fear down the road.
Have to though,
right? To transform the energy, and thank you for that. But it is. I want the listeners to know because that fear is it's an entrapment of the human condition. It's an entrapment,
fabulous. It's a limitation. It's a wall. Fear is a wall.
Right.
Fear is an illusion. Only love is real.
Yeah, I one time had a woman tell me, and she was, very, very convinced. There's an evil energy in my house. There's negativity. I need you to come over. And I'm like, listen. That evil energy is your alcoholic husband that's like passed out on the couch. And that's fine. Let's no judgment there. But that's what the negativity in the house is. And that's fine. I would be there. And some people do listen, as you know, but some people would rather it be an outside entity for some reason.
You're really smart. I think you hit it right, the nose right in the head. I think you got the nail right in the head. I think you got it. I think it's negative energy. So there's positive energy and negative energy. So when there's negative energy, that can build upon itself. And that's fear-based energy. And we can, as a human, can create more and more of that negative energy, and negative energy builds and builds and builds. And so you have what you say, like, people think, oh, this is haunted, or oh, there's an apparition, or oh, and it's really that fear energy that keeps it going. It's the fear energy that keeps negative energy moving. So I was once working on this TV show called The Ghost Whisperer, and we based it on a lady by the name of Marian Winkowski, who's an earthbound specialist, whatever that means. She releases that. What is she releasing? Releasing mind, thoughts, feelings, who knows? But she did say that it's negative energy. She said the most haunted places she's found. And if I say haunted again, I'm going to say that with I'm not sure what that means, except maybe that emotional connection. Mm-hmm. That she said the most haunted places are not graveyards because there's no energy for them to draw upon. It's airports, dentist offices, and hospitals. Because that's a fear energy. It's that negative fear energy can build. And then the human takes over with their mind and they create this junk with their head. So gotta be careful.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So we really got to add extra protection when we go to the dentist.
Show Ghost Whisperer. It opens up very negative, I think. It's very fearful. It's a scary, fearful opening. And we just did that to get people on board the show, which is what CBS wanted. And I said I would not do that show if they didn't end the show in a very positive, loving way. Because remember, it's energy. It's all energy. It's all what you put out there. People don't realize as producers, as we make these shows, it's really that energy goes into the ethers. And it can affect sensitive people. So I made sure at the end of every episode, every scene, every episode of Ghost Whisperer, that they're in the light, that they go to love. There's unconditional love. There's healing that takes place every one of those episodes. And that to me is a lot of this. That's the best part of the show. And I agree. That's the best part of, as you know, doing medium work, healing. The healing that takes place at the end. So yeah.
I love that. And so much more. I could spend 5,000 hours with you. And
I gotta go tape a TV.
Exactly. I thank you beyond. I will hopefully have you back on the show at some point in the future. Truly ridiculously just beyond grateful that I've been able to have this time with you today. So thank you for that. James's website, everyone check out jvpschoolofmysticalarts.com for his classes, an enormous plethora of online sources that you can work on yourself for. So that's amazing. Your retreat in Mexico in March.
Cancun, 2019.
Woo-hoo! Please sign up. And if I wasn't doing a retreat in February, I would be signing up, although maybe I still will.
It's going to be great. It's going to be incredible. Just that one day of living from your soul point of view instead of human.
I think I want to fly in for that day, but I won't want to leave. I really won't. Again, thank you. And I do hope that we do get a chance to discuss and talk again.
We will.
Great.
Thanks, sweetheart. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.